Hey, it's Liam, and I'm taking another break from work to share with you a bunch more of my movie premises. The premises are themed on plots that would happen in or about or regarding cinemas, because you don't see many of those. I came up with these in 2019, so some of them are, especially this next one, are, oh, well, I'll just show you. I'll tell you. During the course of thousands of digital screenings, characters gain self-awareness, prescience, and sense the fourth wall and what's behind it. So obviously there's not a movie about this. And there wasn't in 2019, but I used the word thousands of digital screenings. I could have just said screenings, just movies showing on screen, but digital screenings, I was leaning more towards programs. So a digital screening, I know you can download. Look, it was 2019. It was pre-pandemic. It was all, but a digital screening. What I meant by that wasn't a streaming service. It was going to be about films that were about, films, instead of films being just images played for you, it would be a program, more like a video game. So they're computer programmed characters that you're interacting with. So the digital screenings, the characters gain self-awareness. This became a plot element in Matrix 4, where Neo, in his new existence, he creates a Morpheus program and puts him in an environment so that this character develops into a Morpheus-like character. And it's more complicated than that, obviously. But this character develops, with some help, all of these notions that who he is, why he is, what's going on inside, what's going on outside. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Number 27, Holodecks, the theater of the future, are a great time for the whole family as long as you are the ones in control. So this is both kind of ominous at the end, and it's also a huge gag, because in Star Trek, starting in The Next Generation, a holodeck is a room where it's virtual reality. Instead of goggles on your head, it's only visible for you. Everybody in the room can experience it with you, and it uses, and I quote, photons and force fields. So it uses light and shields, like solid resistor shields, and you see that a lot in sci-fi. So imagine if that force field was like sprinkled with color, and now it looks like a green ball. So that's how holodecks work. So whenever the plot would use holodecks in Star Trek, something would go wrong, or something would not go right, or something would not turn out the way that you expect, because of the holodeck, because of the program that was running, and because of the characters that were using it. It took all those three, and they used that a lot. So it's ominous, but it's also, if the episode is going to be about a holodeck, then something's gonna go wrong before the end of it. But in terms of a movie premise, imagine if it, instead of being on a starship, it's just the normal way that people experience cinema in the 24th century. And if the holodecks on, the holodecks on Earth at that time, what happens if things go wrong there and it's you and your family? It could get kind of scary. 27A. 27A. As I reviewed the list of them, I found that there was an extra one between 27 and 28, so it's 27A. Don't hate me for it. 27A is halfway through the movie, exits no longer lead to the lobby. I remember this one, so I had to go back looking for it when I didn't find it in the list the first time around. So, halfway through the movie, exits no longer lead to the lobby. Why? Where do they go? How is it even possible for that to be? It's, is it that the world that we're in is another simulation? Is it a thing where there's a curse upon the theater? Where did they go? Why did they go somewhere? Who did it? And why did it happen to these people halfway through the movie? You think if it's going to be young people, it's going to be a horror. Like, what's going on? Why has it happened? You probably don't even get the answers. And to be honest, if this was a movie premise, I wouldn't go watch that movie. Which would be true for most of these movie premises, by the way. 28 is a biopic. Oh, I love this one. Biopic of a divorced dad and his daughter seen through a lifetime of movie nights. So it starts with, imagine a dad and his daughter. Her parents have been divorced, and the courts have given mom and dad different times with their, guaranteed time with their daughter. And she and her dad start movie nights, and it starts then at the divorce and the tensions about that. But it grows, and it goes, I imagine it going through their entire lives until one or the other passes away. And so you have the whole, like, she'll turn 18 and the court order will no longer matter. So what changes? She goes to college or not? What changes? Are they always at the movies? Movie night doesn't need to be at the cinema. Sometimes they do it at her house or his house. Maybe she brings a boyfriend and that doesn't go well. He brings a girlfriend and that doesn't go well. Is he going to get remarried? Is there contention between, is there tension? Or is it totally cool and they like each other? The daughter and his father's new wife. Does the daughter get married? Does the daughter have kids? And as I imagine at the beginning, when there's the court order which dictates the time that you have together, you don't have other times together. So if you're watching the movie through the lens of these movie nights, that at the beginning, that is the time that they spend together. And so as they interact with each other, they're getting caught up of, like, how was school this week? How did you do on your tests? How is that project coming along? And then as it changes, they're actually communicating outside of this. And so instead of it being instead of them debriefing each other on their week, they're just following up on things they've been talking about all week long. And so the audience is kind of left out of a lot more of those details. And as she gets older, it stops being an interrogation on his part and she's more interested in him. Like, hey, Dad, how did that meeting go? How did your projects go? She's like, as a child, everybody's focused on you, so you become self-absorbed. But as an adult, you start understanding and learning about other people and caring about the things that go on in their daily lives. And so she can ask about those, and you see that transformation of their relationship through time, which I thought. And at the end, it has to end. It can't end until, maybe as they get older, there's long gaps of time between them as well, where they don't have movie nights. And is that stressful, or is that okay? They get back together as if no time has passed. Do grandkids come into the picture, and are they part of movie night? Are they doing movie night, watching, Minions 11? Are they downloading that, and that counts as movie night for one of the chapters? And then one of them passes away. It doesn't have to be the father. It could be the mother, and the tension of those things happening out of order in terms of how we think of the world. The world doesn't have a script for us. And so the film itself doesn't have that climax like a movie would. It just unfolds in the randomness that life does. I'm not sure I'd watch that movie, but I'd find it very interesting. Okay. Next one is a young widower. It's also serious. A young widower escapes grief, believing that his late wife as background characters in the films. So that's also kind of dark. It's about suffering. It's about healing, and it's not necessarily go down the road of good healing. Is it healthy that he is going to movies so that he can have these delusions that his wife is in those as the background characters? Is that his way of not facing what's happened? Or does he start to have delusions of communicating with those characters and kind of in his mind writing stories about them, and that his wife lives on in those? I don't know where I'd go with that. I'd probably need, like, the producers and the writers would probably need somebody who had expertise in people recovering from grief and loss of that kind, to either intentionally do it well or to intentionally, go off the rails with it. Okay. And I'm going to stop with number 30, a damaged family's path. Oh, this is complicated, so I'll have to, okay. A damaged family's path through public chaos towards healing. As a child lost during a movie reappears 3 years later, not having aged a day. Okay, that's the problem with the phrasing of a lot of these is try to pack them into a single word, a single sentence. So I end up putting clauses in back in the back order for grammar. Anyway, 3 years ago, a child is lost during the movies, and the family goes to the movies, and the child's like, "What do you think happens?" Like, well, it's it's this huge news event that a child is missing, and then there is the focus on the child. There's a focus on the cinema. There's a focus on the family, and the pressures that there have being under the scrutiny of the public, and then also the scrutiny of the investigators. And then you also have the investigators also under pressure from their bosses, because their bosses watch the news, and they're getting like everybody's pressure like coming at the so, does dad's gambling debt come out for everyone to find out about? Is it relevant? No, it's not. Mom had that car accident a few years ago, and she took a long time to get over the pain medicines. Is that relevant? No, but it's all going to be dragged out. Is their marriage going to last? What's the effect on the siblings of the child that's missing? And then, so that's like realism, but then it goes into unrealism, where the child appears 3 years later not having aged a day. And everybody going from what you'd expect, this turmoil, to being the family had nothing to do with it. There is no perpetrator amongst us that you should be afraid of, and that there's something fantastical. Is it miraculous? Is it nefarious? Like, what has caused this? It's like it just breaks your reality that in such a way that it's, the public, the family, and the child just thinks like everybody just got old, the next day. I haven't said how old the child is, but it's an age of innocence. Well, for that purpose, it's based on the small bit of Flight of the Navigator, where the boy is abducted by aliens. They fly faster than the speed of light. He doesn't age, but everybody else is. And he comes back to the Earth, and everybody's older, and they've all gone through the trauma of him being missing, and now he's back, and nobody knows why. But it's clear that, given what we're seeing, the child's it's clearly been nobody's fault that's been accused or suspected. And the movie doesn't really get into that. The movie gets into other more sci-fi things, but the shock, the trauma that the family went through, and then the shock of that, I just thought was an interesting, without the sci-fi elements. It's about the family. I thought that was an interesting premise. So I'm going to stop there. I'm already 13 minutes in without even doing 10 of these things. So thank you for watching. I might do some things on either side. I don't know if I'll figure them out this time. So thank you for watching. Maybe I'll see you next time. If you have any theater, cinema, premise ideas that you think of, you can put them on. If you have any, if you're curious about any of the premises that I've ever talked about before, you can put them in the comments as well. I'd love to hear from you, so you can just give it a like, subscribe, all that YouTube-y stuff. Oh, I cringe just trying to say that stuff. But thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.